Mm-hmm. 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 Mhm. Mhm. Howdy ho, y'all. Welcome on in. Sit y'all down and tell me about yourself. I know where I've gone. And I know where I've been. And I don't know. Yeah, skin I'm in. Call out, freedom now. Call out to my Lord. Carry me on. Tenderness through the dark hole. I will not be afraid. The Lord is my rock until my dying day. With him I shall walk. Whoa. So what y'all thinking? Let me know. Come on in, sit on down, tell me about yourself. How's your day going? You at work or you at school or what? Living life to the fullest out on a grocery run? Not wearing your mask inside of a bar? Tell me. Tell me before I go and talk to a fellow about a horse and start making really bad jokes. Oh no, it's the bad jokes. I know there's two people watching. I can see y'all because there's this little icon up here in the corner, right about this region right here. Okay, right there, like there, and to here. There's a little icon there that tells me how many are watching over there on YouTube. So I don't even have to jump back and forth in between. I know how many's on there. I know how many of y'all are out there, and I know you're watching. So if you're the FBI, please don't come beating down my door. You won't find nothing but love and hugs. Pot smoking prepper. Woof, dusty. Wow, that's got some good color to it. Covered in it. I'm covered in it, I tell you. Dusty. Trusty, rusty, dusty. Oof. Oh, thank God for bushcrafting knives. They make the best whittling knives. And you can make stuff like this. Little fur burger. That thing could go up in like 0 flat. Matter of factly, that's exactly what I'm going to try out for you, is show you how quick this stuff goes up. Where's my lighter there, Hoss? I'm missing my fire. Oh, no. This is not a good sign. Well, I got these. And my fire's right in front of me. Okay. Big lighter. Fur burger. Look at how quickly that thing lights off. Don't even really need a flame on it for half a second and it just goes. Look at that. And it holds an ember like you would not believe. Oh, woo, burned my hand. Fur burger. Cool little trick that you can learn from whittling. Just take a knife. You see my walking stick here. You just, with the spine of it, draw up, and now you've got that nice little pocket in your thumb there. You can just make a bunch of it by up and down and just working it back and forth, and you just pull that stuff right off the outside. But yeah, all you got to do is find like some underbark like you see right here, the stuff right here that kind of peels up and flakes up nice, and just run your knife spine up that fur bark, that underbark, and make a fur burger. There you go. Fur burger. It's good stuff. Good little trick to learn from. And I learned that just from whittling when I was a young man, you know, how to make a good walking stick. My daddy handed me an ash stick and said, "Here, son, this came from an ash tree that I picked up off the ground. You go sit over there and whittle it for me, and I want to have a nice walking stick after you're done." And I sat there for hours and hours and hours and hours, and I carved a little paw on the top of it. And I said, "This is my paw stick for my paw." Oh, delightfully good memories. So you'll notice that I'm just using my hand like this to just slowly pull the knife along the wood. I'm putting the wood up and away from me, resting it away from me over there. And then the knife itself, I'm taking the blade, I'm pointing it towards me. But the way that I'm doing it is very important. You'll watch, I have control over the blade at all times. I take the blade, I lay it against the wood here, then I take my hand, and using this hand, I push the spine. And by doing that, it creates a small cut that I have control over. And you can steady it with your thumb here. So pretty soon you're just taking small curls off the outside of a piece of wood, and the right and proper curl size is going to be about like this. Okay, you can see that there. That's about the right size of curls you should be pulling off when you're doing, just basic whittle. So trying to whittle the handle down here, clean it up. And if y'all haven't noticed yet, this is eucalyptus. So it's kind of a difficult wood to work with like this because the wood itself has a twisting grain. It weaves back and forth. So very interesting way of growing this wood does. But it makes great walking sticks because you know how with most walking sticks, your hand will build up like this itchiness, this kind of toxicity to it, and you get this kind of a mud color discoloration on your handle of your walking stick. Well, eucalyptus, strangely enough, has properties which repel that. You might get a discoloration, sure, from your hand oils, but the difference is that it's not going to be such an itchy one to carry and all that. And I know this because I have another walking stick which I carved made out of eucalyptus, and I've walked with that. It's actually really cool. It's got a little tiki in the top of it, and I'll show y'all that in a second. But just sitting here carving, and you'll notice, like a fiddle player, I'm putting this right in my shoulder right here, and I'm only, you know, cup carving. Um, no, it doesn't really smell like the leaves per se, unless it's fresh. So, dry eucalyptus has this kind of nutty smell, nutty kind of flavor, like a light minty nuttiness to it, versus like the leaves, which are just heavily menthol, just totally heavily menthol and eucalyptol in them, and then nothing else. And you get that weird camphor smell and all that. Well, this is a different kind of a smell. It still has a little bit of a camphorous smell, but it's not as heavy. Yes, it's great for sinuses. Um, Actually, we take leaves off the eucalyptus tree and we'll put them into boiling water for making it so that you can clear your sinuses out, because out here it's just so dusty all the time. The wind is just horrid. I mean, look at this. This is my knife after carving on this thing. Normally, it's your knives are fairly clean. Look at that dust layer. That's coming out of the wood. That's what I'm talking about out here. The dirt out here, the dust out here is just so fine, it gets into everything. It literally gets down into the grain of the wood. This dust is horrible for electronics out here. Yeah, winter time. Well, let me put it this way. You never want to have winter again. Make sure there's a lot of eucalyptus that are planted nearby. I like winter. I like rainstorms and snowstorms and thunderstorms. I don't like windstorms. If there's clouds outside, I'm happy. Call me strange, but yeah, if there's clouds outside, I'm a happy camper. Some people might find that strange. If it's a bright sunny day outside, I kind of I oh, that's interesting. Here, I'll put that up there, Janet. That's an interesting skill to have. Being able to make medicine. I mean, I know how to do it too. I'm just saying that's a really good skill to have. Shit. Oh, this limb is so crooked. See, the problem with letting your hands take over while whittling is that you could end up getting yourself really hurt bad. Yeah, out here we don't get really 115-mile-an-hour winds, but we get non-stop 65-mile-an-hour winds in March, and they'll go for 4 or 5 days at a time, non-stop 60 miles an hour, and you're just like, oh my god, where did all this come from? Why me? Why here? Why now? It's kind of overwhelming. Okay. Okay. Well, ah, hmm. Wondering what shape I should use. I'm going to end up having to cut it off right about here because I'm pretty sure that structural integrity and all that, that'll be the best spot for it. Oh, there. Yep. Okay, so. Oh, oh, take this so lay down on the river. Devil may come, carry me home, but lay me down on the river. Say, oh Lord, take this soul, lay me down upon the river cold. The devil may call to carry me home. Lay me down on the river. Oh, my Lord, take this hand, deliver me from worry. Give my soul for all I've done. Save me from the valley. Demons come and strike me down and bring me to my knees. River come, she can wash me clean, save me from my sin. Oh my Lord, take this soul, lay me down on the river. Well, it's all because when I was younger, I put emphasis on learning because I knew my teachers were not skilled enough to teach me. So I had to learn on my own. When I say weren't skilled enough to teach me, they could teach just fine, all right? They did not have any lacking in the teaching department, other than to say that I have a problem with focusing on things. If I'm not interested in it, if I'm not actually engaged, forget about it. So I actually have to be interested in doing something for me to be able to do it. Like, look at how old this stick is that I'm carving on. This is from last year, okay? Like I said, I actually have to be interested to do something. And I thought, well, what could I do to make this live stream an interesting one? Oh, I'll carve a walking stick. Take all the nubs off, clean off all the bark. You let it season for a year so it gets hard. And then you take off that layer of dirty, nasty, filthy seasoned wood to expose the beautiful dry wood underneath. Oh yeah, no, trust me. I one of my favorite classes was home ec. Home economics was just like folks thought, oh well. See, most of my teachers they thought, oh well, he's already learned all the math, the science, and anything else we could ever teach him. Let's see if he'll learn anything in this class. And I was like, hell yes. Let's see if you can teach me something I don't know. My mom and dad ensured that was not going to happen. My mom's actually a pretty skilled seamstress, so she taught me how to sew by hand and then with a machine. So I know how to run them both. I just don't like machines. Can you blame me? A machine is basically taking the last job that I can do, pretty much. That last job is security, being taken over by robots. Damn robots! So glad I learned the different traits and skills and trades that I did because the way as I see it, we ain't got too long to wait. I mean, I know I'll be alive for it, knowing my years, but folks are going to need those skills. Hell is why I learned them, not just for survival in my own life, but one day when somebody needed someone else to be able to put together, you know, a how to, this is how, that's one of the reasons why I did it, you know. I'll teach you and you can do for you, and perhaps someday you can do for me. And I'll use one of my skills, which I do things a little bit better than you do, to pay you back. How's about that? That's called working for favor. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I never made a wooden spoon for my mama, but we made, see, for my in my day and age, we made napkin holders. We didn't get to make spoons and walking sticks because they figured that there were too many injuries in the past, and you know, besides that, my scout leader was part Italian, so they kind of put wooden spoons down on like the no go, the no fly list. We made all sorts of stuff though. We had to learn how to make wooden forks. We had to learn how to make bows and arrows. That was a fun one. My first ever handmade bow and arrow, last ever handmade bow and arrow, was in Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts. It's where I learned the technique that I'm using now. It's called draw kniving. It's where I put my foot down on the stick down below, hold it to the ground, and hold it in between my legs, kind of like so. Hold on. I'll show you what I'm saying. See, like this? And my foot on top right there. And then I have the stick held against the inner thigh here. And then I'm doing all my carving up here. And I just hold the one side of the knife and then hold the other side of the knife like so. And I place my hand against the stick and use my hand as a guide to run up and down the stick. And then I just pull the knife towards me while still holding the tip of the knife like so. Okay. Curling my hand like so. So I've got a good secure hold and I just, this kind of a motion. Okay. And you've got an angle so that what you're doing is you're basically pulling it up, pulling the wood up and away, and it's giving you a deeper cut and a longer, smoother cut as well. And you can change that by the angle that you cut at. And you want to always remember to have your stick kind of go off and away from you so that what you're doing is you're actually trying to cut away from your face. Trust me, it's important. Never want to pop yourself in the chops with a blade. It sucks. Yeah. Um, Welding, let me put it this way. I know how to weld. I don't like welding. I'd rather pay somebody to weld for me who's more confident in their skill because I don't want to have to go through all that crap to just have to fuck it up and do it again. And with welding, you fuck it up twice to get it right once. So I'd rather somebody else fuck it up twice to get it right once than me fuck it up 10 times to get it right once. I don't do much welding, as you can tell. I'm fine with brazing. I could do brazing, but I'm just not confident with my welds. Brazing, it takes you 3 times to get it done once right when you haven't practiced the skill in a while. Whereas welding, it takes a little bit of a swing to get back into things. Nice. Things coming out really nicely. This is just a clean shave to clean up the wood. Open it up to the air and get all the detritus off of it and bring out the beauty of the wood. Now, I don't shape my sticks very much. Yeah, sparks is normally welding. Brazing is you just get a piece of metal really, 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 really hot, and then you get the other piece of metal really, 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 really hot, and they stick to each other. And you don't need to put any extra in there really, other than that brass electrode that melts down and gets into it. And you don't even have to use electricity, so there's really never any sparks. You take a couple of pieces of metal, you stick them together, and then you stick some freaking brass in between them. That's pretty much brazing in a nutshell. Brass or aluminum or zinc or copper, any other metal than steel. Brazing is normally done when welding would be detrimental to the overall construction of the part, or when you have a novice in the world of welding, in which case brazing's the better option. And I freely admit I am a novice when it comes to welding. I can weld, I don't like it. Mm, wow, those are some colors. Okay, so some difference in tone of color right there. It's actually looking all right for what it is thus far. There's the handle, right here, right in this spot here. That's what I'm working on to try and get smooth. And then everything else can kind of just fall into place. I wanted to kind of clean up the rest of it though, because you can't leave this rod on there and have your stick last for very long. So when you peel this rot off, what happens is, funny enough, the stick actually gets stronger. Um, no, I would say that by the time you hit 18, you should already know pretty much everything that you're going to need in order to excel in life. And I don't think you should procrastinate when trying to teach people things, because the longer that you wait, the older the person is, the less they're going to retain. It's a simple law, natural law. You're not going to be able to remember as much at the age of 50 as you were at the age of 30. And, you're not going to, it's the same going on down the line. You're not going to be able to remember as much at 30 as you can at 15 and da 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 da. So I would say they were actually quite intelligent in having you learn uh, welding or brazing at the age of 12. It means you're probably very good at it. I mean, at least if you practiced enough, you know what you're doing. There's the other side of it, is that at the age of 12, if you were engaged enough to be able to learn it, you know what you're doing. Well, that's only because that's what you've practiced recently, Janet. I'm sure if you gave yourself some practice, remembered the old times, yeah, you could weld just fine. It's just it's a situation of how long has it been since you last did it, and then baby steps. I mean, that's how I got my gun barrel brazed. I haven't brazed, well, barring my motorcycle, since I was in shit, since right after getting out of high school. So, you know, it, it took me like 4 or 5 times trying on the motorcycle to get it right and get it to actually seal the exhaust port that I was working on. And then again, working on the gun barrel that I was working on, that took me 3, 4, 5, 6 times to actually get right. So I don't claim to be really, the best at it, but at the same time, I can braze, I can weld. I'm not a big fan of trying to weld myself, because I'm more likely to get it fucked up and wrong and then run out of material before I get it, right. Whereas brazing, I'm not going to run out of material before I get it right. I've got too many bullet casings for that. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, welding. Hmm, that's a skill that if somebody else knows welding, you know, that's out there in the group or in my community or whatever, y'all have fucking got one up on me right there. And I'll let that one lie, because I'm not the best welder. I'm not, in fact, I'm really no good at welding. And I say that because I haven't done a lot of welding. Done a little bit, and it's absolute shite, the welding that I've done. There you go. Woodworking is great. And yeah, you shouldn't do a skill. You shouldn't try to attempt a skill that you're afraid of. Um, when you're too afraid of it. Okay, and I say too afraid as in it shouldn't actually paralyze you in fear. If it paralyzes you in fear, don't do it. It's kind of like me with climbing up the sides of bridges and shit. I don't do it. I'm hypersensitive to heights. I don't like being high up. Don't get me wrong, I can ignore it if I'm doing something like that I can keep focused on for longer than 10 seconds. But I do not like heights. Oh, it makes me dizzy. Well, they're depending on computers and machines to do that. The thing that I have to say is if humans no longer have vocational skill, then who's going to invent? That's the question. Who's going to invent? Who's going to reverse engineer and make better? That's the question that I'd like to ask. Because if there's no vocational skill, then you can't take apart what's been made. So you can't rebuild it. If there's no vocational skills out there, then once something gets broken, it just becomes trash. It doesn't become, well, maybe I could fix it, and that's more disheartening and irritating than anything else, is that there'll be nobody there to make something work better. And then when there's nobody there to make something work better, we will all be peasants, pissants, piss-ons, peons. Yep, gotta have mechanics. And folks who have mechanical knowledge are, like me, a dying breed. Like I said, the inventors of this world, the dying breed. You're not going to see them very long. The folks that know how to invent because they were curious and they made things and built great and powerful machines that we now take for granted, they're gone, you know, and folks that understand them are disappearing all over the place. When I say disappearing, I mean some of them are dead, yeah, sure, but others have just gone fucking missing. And still others are, they show up as OD'd or, result of a suicide. And you just got to question these things because a lot of these people are incredibly brilliant and have specific drive to keep going. So, in this day and age, you got to question everything. Yep. All the computers in the world will become absolutely useless when all the folks who know how to fix machines are no longer around. And guess what? Then you will become powerless unless you are capable and willing to stand up and do what is right and necessary. So, I look to the future. I see the long game here, and Janet's 100% right on this with, this. I'm going to go ahead and put that up there for you, for all of us. Here's where we started. I'll give you a second to read that. And that's what we were talking about next. And this is where we ended. So, yes, um, computers will be useless. Sure. Does that mean that you're useless? Does that mean that I am useless? I doubt it. Rather, I would say that we become the most useful. Of course, they're going to try and kill us before that ever happens. Far as, world domination is concerned, you cannot dominate if there are dissidents, people who have, yeah, cell phones that tip over on them. People who have skills, knowledge, and reason, and are entirely too fucking tired of the bullshit. Yeah, the folks who look down on skilled people are not going to be very happy when all that shit rolls around, because they're going to be sitting there going, well, shit. I browbeat these people for learning something that I learned when I was in community college. And now they're the best skills that anyone could have. And unfortunately, all those people are now dead because we sat there and backed the wrong people. And so they're all dead. And now we're pretty much fucked. It's either kiss the ring or fucking feel the sting, you know? So yeah, as far as it goes, skilled people, folks with skills like make a walking stick, make a spear, make a spearhead, make a bow and arrow with iron tips. I mean, get iron from the ground. Do y'all know how to do that, or do you not watch primitive living? I mean, Primitive Living's channel, he's got some really brilliant shit, man, and shows people how to do things the way that they did it hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's where I learned how to make iron prill. You just take regular old iron rich mud and you make balls out of it and bake it until it's fucking hard as a rock, and then you break it open and you take the little tiny BB out the middle. Oh yeah, he's got some interesting stuff. Primitive Living. Guy's got some brilliant shit. Um A lot of folks here in the United States, we kind of joke about the whole survival game thing, but that's why I have a lot of subs from overseas, funny enough. And, come to find out they're also survivalists, preppers, that that's what they do. They have to survive. They have to prep in order to stay alive. So, I'm I really appreciate my subs from overseas. And honestly, a lot of them, the stuff that they do, it's really interesting. You go and you check out some of their channels. Um, you ever heard of Fandabby Duzzy? Got some interesting Highland survival stuff on his channel. How the old Scottishman survived in the Highlands. Old school Highlanders survived up there, and that's all he does is just, how you could pack everything together and make it worthy, make it worth it, the long, arduous struggle of carrying all of that crap. And then at the same time, not having modern effects. So, yeah, you want to talk about somebody who's got his head screwed on straight. Go check out Find Dobby Dozy. That's Fandabby Dozy. Fandabby Dozy. He does some really interesting stuff. He has he shows how to make it, or not how to make, but he actually makes a scandu, which is basically the Scottish equivalent of our bushcrafting knives. So definitely check that out. He's got a lot of cool stuff. He makes his own everything, and he's got his own kit, and it reflects um, the Highlander heritage, really, of Scotland. And I look at that and I'm like, you know, our ancestors were able to do it with such simple effects. Why can't we um, have a similar capability? We've got all of these nice new fancy shits, but then we become dependent on them. Technology is good for some effects, but to some other effects, it can actually be um, detrimental. So it's good to look at what the past has given us as a platform. And that's why my pack, as much as the good stuff that's out there and all that, my pack is cheap. My pack is freaking loaded to the core with everything that I might need and some of the things I may want. And yet it's light, it's efficient, it's capable, and I don't really need to do much to it in order to survive just about anywhere. So, and that's inspiration that I drew from watching Fandabi Dozi. So, when it comes down to it, as far as it goes, where they have to actually live a different way in order to survive. Certain places in the UK, certain places in, you know, old Russia and old Soviet Union. And I say that because it's no longer the Soviet Union. It's like Kurdistan and Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan and Liechtenstein and fucking this stand and the other stand, and there's too many stands in the room, I tell you. Uh, but yeah, the things that they have to learn in other countries in order to survive are good things to look at because we put a lot of emphasis on our guns. We put a lot of emphasis on our nice backpackable tents, hammocks, and shamogs and camis and all that cool shit. When you look back through history, some of best, um, the best survivalists and best hunters were guys that barely carried, a sword, a knife, and a spear. You know, Uh, they didn't have much. Sure, some folks carried bows, some folks had ballistae, but in all reality, they didn't have what we have now. And for you to be able to survive longer than just the main firefight, you've got to have some form of a backup which is going to be usable when there's no more powder and there's no more shot and there's no more primers to be had, because if you don't know how to make your own primers, you don't know how to make your own powder, you're kind of fucked. You're going to live through the firefight to die afterwards, and that's the whole point. You've got to have backup. There's a reason why the air guns, there's a reason why the bow, there's a reason why a stick, there's a reason why a sword, there's a reason why a spear. It's not just to do with, can I survive the fucking gunfight, but how's about surviving after the gunfight? How's about surviving beyond Mad Max? That's the whole idea behind some of these other survivalist channels is survive beyond Mad Max. Give yourself the best chance of survival that you can have. Now, take this and carve out that eyelet. Okay. Yeah, Janet, I'm happy to. Like I said, happy to do that for you. The lonely tree on the hill. with that rope hanging in the breeze. And the man was standing there, head in his hand, breeze in his head, cast a knife across his brow, seeing the pain as it stand out. Don't turn away, show no fear. What he did was by God and man given. To the grave they lay, there they will stay. Their evil souls try that Georgia clay. Ah, yeah, so far as that's concerned, um, get yourself a couple of kneading cards. Believe it or don't, when your dog is shedding, the the fur that they shed, the German Shepherd fur, is actually really sticky, and you can make yarn out of it. Just don't wash it because it'll fall apart. If you're gonna wash it with Febreze. And yes, German Shepherds shed. Oh my God, they shed. They're not as bad as that was funny. I'm already wearing more fur than I want. You know, I think that they wear more fur than they want as well. Um, yes, they shed like crazy, but they're nothing compared to Chow Chows. Oh my fucking God. You want to talk dogs that shed. Fucking Chow Chows. Oh my God. About the only dog that I'm actually allergic to is a Chow. Fucking weirdest thing there is too, because I'm not allergic to other dogs. I'll be around German Shepherds all day long, not bother, not worry, nothing. Chows, I'll start sneezing. And I don't know why. They give me the sneezle jeebles. Hell, they give themselves the sneasel jeebles. So yeah, I love dogs too. Don't get me wrong. I'd fucking jump into a fight for a dog. I'm saying a lot, but yeah, I don't. I do not approve of the fact that my nose does not approve of their dander. So unfortunately, you will never see me with a chow chow, no matter how much our personalities may connect. Um, Perhaps one day I'll have a Carolina dog though. My buddy's got a Carolina dog, and I tell you what, that's the dog I want. Yeah, they do have a different kind of dander, Janet. It's a much heavier, thicker, and turns into dust way more readily, and I'm allergic to dust. Weirdest shit in the world. I'm actually allergic, actively allergic to dust. Not anaphylactically, but I get the worst, just the worst cytokine storms from dust and pollen. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's just the fact that their dander turns into dust so quickly that I'm allergic to the dust and not necessarily the dog. Hell, my first dog was part chow. My dog Toby, called him Turbo. He was part chow. You could tell. He had black in his mouth. It was also a bunch of different spaniel breeds that we could certify. So, as far as that's concerned, we always called him a Springer uh, spaniel mix, Morgan Springer Cocker mix, different spaniels. But he was big like a chow, and he had the black in his mouth like a chow chow. But he was such a sweetie, so sweet. He's just a big old lover dog. Awesome puppy dog. Loved him lots. I miss him. He was a good dog. Oh, and man, did he ever have the fucking just the largest amount of fur of any dog that I've ever seen, including golden retrievers, including freaking setters. I mean, we had to shave him yearly. Shave to pork or pigskin shave because his hair grew at 3 inches a month. And it wasn't fur, it was hair. Like my hair kind of hair. it would just continue to grow and 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 grow. It would never stop growing. We always ended up having to take him and shave him down to freaking Tubby Toby. And he was a fat dog, but I loved him. And I don't care what anyone says. That dog was fucking built like a tank. He was very athletic, you know, regardless of how chunky he was. That dog was an athletic dog. That's why I say he was Chow Chow, part Chow Chow, because he was just, let me put it this way. He was so fat that it looked like when he turned straight onto you, it looked like he was still standing side on. Here's my little footrest. Yeah, we only shaved him because if we didn't, he'd be walking on his own fur. And that was reality. We had to shave him every year because he would overheat in the summer. In the wintertime, he'd make little snowballs all around his chest and he'd traipse in all the snowballs. And the whole floor around him would just turn into a puddle. So we didn't shave him during the winter. My mom and my dad kind of just put up with the snow on the floor. But in the summer, it was out of respect for him. We shaved him. We gave him a shave down because he would literally come up and beg us. My mom did haircuts for us kids and whatnot, and Toby was a smart dog, like fucking amazingly smart. And when he saw us getting a haircut, he'd run over and he'd start licking my mom's hands, like, please let me, please let me, please let me. And she'd literally give in and just be like, all right, fine, we'll give you a shave. That happened on more than one occasion. He loved getting a haircut. So, you know, as far as he was concerned, he needed to get a haircut. It was part of physical grooming for him because if he didn't get a haircut, he would just be hairy and nasty and he really didn't like baths. So the haircut was kind of like all the better for him. He felt like $1,000,000 afterwards and was so happy. It just showed on his face. He was so much happier after getting a full shave and whatnot. But again, the Cocker Spaniel, Springer Spaniel, freaking, they have long fur. If you've ever seen a Cocker Spaniel in a show, that's the kind of fur that my dog had. Toby had fur to where you didn't know whether it was his paws hitting the floor or his fur hitting the floor. That's the kind of length he got. So we had to shave him every year just so that he could walk without falling flat on his nose. And he loved it. He loved it. Man, I tell you what, it only ever got up to about 80 degrees where we lived in the summer. But he would literally, he'd take the freaking razor, the the Flowbee that my mom had. He'd go in, open up the drawer. This is how smart my dog was, okay? He'd open the door to the bathroom, open the drawer, take out the Flowbee, and walk it into the living room. Set it down on the floor and sit down next to it. This is how smart my dog was. He was freaking brilliant. he knew how to ask for things, which is something that not a lot of dogs do. No, I mean some dogs know how to ask for things, but as soon as we taught him how to ask for something, he never shut up. He'd ask for food, he'd ask to go out to the bathroom, he'd ask to play, he'd ask to get a haircut, he'd ask for a bath every now and then. This is a dog that did not like baths very much, so when he wanted a bath, we gave him one. A dog that actually knew what he wanted, asked for things. It's a really fucking smart dog. And I say, it stems from being a mutt that actually made him that smart because he did not have an upbringing with a mother dog. There was no other dog there to take him under the wing. He had to learn to be a human for the first 6, 7 years of his life. So he was more human than dog. But yeah, he asked for haircuts. He'd ask for. Oh, I think that my favorite, the one that I remember the best, my favorite one was Toby came upstairs into my room and where I lived in the attic. We all had our rooms up in the attic at one point. My mom and dad moved downstairs after a while. But he runs upstairs into the attic, rips the covers off of me, and pulls me out of bed by my onesie pajamas by my foot. Being really careful not to bite my toes and whatnot. He grabbed the hold of the onesie pajamas, kind of mouthing them, and then got a good hold of him and ripped me out of bed. And then he barked at me a couple times, so I got up and I went and I found out what he was yarking over, and it turns out there was snow up to the second story roof at my dad's house, and Toby was barking at the back window or the back door of the apartment, the upstairs apartment, and he went and he clawed at the door, and then he got up there and tried to open the door up by himself, using two paws to open the door latch. So I opened the door and he ran out onto the freaking roof and jumped into the snow and disappeared. The snow was literally up to our second story roof, but it hadn't inundated all the way back up to the back door. So downstairs you could walk outside, but you walked outside into this, like, it looked like you walked out into the Arctic because everything was white and it was just walls all the way around. And so I went out up top trying to find Toby, and he'd gotten back up on top and was walking around on top of the snow, 25 feet in the air on top of snow. So he ran himself back inside and got all the freaking snow off of him, warmed up for the next half hour, and then did it again. We ended up just leaving the upstairs unlocked for him for about like a week while the snow melted back down. That was great. That was 96 when the blizzard came through. We had 25-foot snow drifts. Good times though, man. I sure miss Toby. He's a good dog. Not to do that. There we go. That's nice and smooth. Oh yeah, no. Jumping off the roof and just poof. Wait, there was a black dot there a second ago. Why is it all white now? And it literally did sound like that too. Just poof. It's just like poof. That's all you heard because he just ran tunka 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 poof, and he was gone. It was fucking. It was funny. I I got to admit, yes, it was funny. I was also kind of scared because I know you can drown in snow a lot faster than you can in water. So I was actually kind of worried about him too. Like every time that I see those videos of a dog running and jumping into snow and disappearing, I have that fleeting moment in the back of my mind. Oh my God, he's gonna drown. You know, just I ought to know better by now, but I can't know better by now because we had a dog that drowned in the snow doing that exact same thing. Well, I should say a friend of ours did. We didn't. Um, Dog ran, jumped right into the snow, and got its nose chuck full of snow and its mouth chuck full of snow, and couldn't get it out because it was packed in too tightly. And before it had a chance to melt out, the dog drowned. Suffocated, really, but same death. Packs up in there, and yeah, you can drown in snow. Um, Happens all the time to skiers and avalanches. It's a lot less likely to happen to a dog or a cat or any wild animal, just because when they jump into snow, they put their face up instead of going face into it. But some dogs don't know better. Human beings, we can drown in snow faster than you believe. Um, all it takes is not having enough of a reservoir of air around your face, and you'll suffocate to death inside of a minute. And when I say inside of a minute, it's literally the air is so cold so you don't understand that you're breathing in carbon dioxide and then carbon monoxide and then carbon. You literally suffocate inside of minutes. So yeah, yes, you can drown in snow. Now, I'll say that a snow drowning is actually more scary than actual, a liquid water drowning. And that's because you think you should still be able to breathe, you know, because of all the little micro holes in the snow. But there again, you create a basically an ice capsule by breathing out into a snowbank. So what happens is it all glasses over and now air can't pass through it. So, the amount of space that you've got is the amount of time that you've got. And you've got to keep on breaking through and breaking through and breaking through because you've got to keep on making yourself have some form of air that you can breathe, because as soon as air passes, the hot air and moisture from your breath passes over that snow, it basically glues it all together and makes it a piece of glass, really, and air can't get through it. And yes, you can drown. You can literally die from carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, or um, impaction is what it's called, when you get stuff basically shoved in your nose and in your mouth and you can't breathe. It's called impaction. Of course, the nice thing about snow is that it takes longer for the brain to die, per se, once you've stopped panicking. So that's actually why people have lived in snow drifts after passing out, is that basically they pass out, they become slightly hypothermic, and that slows their blood flow down to the point where they no longer really need as much oxygen. They've got less brain function at that point in time, so it's easier for the brain to survive. And you can survive like that for about 30 minutes without taking a deep breath, but you're going to need air afterwards. And you basically need to be resuscitated at that point, which resuscitation is shoddy at best. So, yes, don't ever put yourself in a circumstance knowingly where you could drown in snow, because it would suck. And honestly, I don't want to have to explain to one of my cousins why they had to pull somebody out of the damn snowbank who didn't know better than to go up there when there was a avalanche warning. So there's that. Because, um, well, I think at least one of my cousins is still part of the snow patrol up there on Mammoth Mountain. So yeah, please don't put my family through that. Snow, snow, no, snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Yeah, second floor, 25-foot deep snowdrifts. When I say we had a blizzard, yeah, that's what I mean, son. We had a blizzard. 1996, we saw more snowfall in one area out there in Ogden, Utah, than I think we've had for 50 years before or since, to be honest. Now, you know what, I'll dial that back some, because since 96, there really hasn't been much of a blizzard to kind of compare, say for the one in Texas recently, but they got ice storms. They didn't get snow. Well, they got snow, but they got really what they got was ice storms. Um, bad ice storms. So there's that. Far as a blizzard is concerned, do not see in the near future it getting any nicer, but I do see more severe ice storms coming in the future. Because let's be clear, when you take the CO2 levels in the atmosphere and you drop them, you drop atmospheric CO2 levels, things get warmer. Warming trends cause cooling trends. And if you're going to cause a warming trend with your liberal stupidity, oh, we need to make gas so freaking expensive, people won't use gas and they'll go to electric. Only problem is that that burns coal, and that means that there's more for less, more CO2 for less energy. Any Hoosiers. So if they're going to cause this cooling trend, which then, I mean, this warming trend, which then kicks off a harsher cooling trend, we're likely to see some pretty nasty blizzards and some really gnarly ice storms coming here in the future. And I'll say that much. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get an ice storm here. I mean, no, I wouldn't be surprised if we did get an ice storm here. In the middle of Blythe, California. In the desert. The middle of hell. I've seen other storms here that were fairly interesting. Never thought I'd see one in America. Kind of storms. Yeah, we get tornadoes down here too. A lot of people don't know this, but Blythe actually, in 2009, was hit by a triple twister. 3 F3s on the Fujita scale blasted through Blythe. F3s. Yeah, that's the same tornado power that destroyed that little Texas town. I can't remember what it is. Same tornado. We had one down here in Cibola in Arizona that ripped Cibola apart. There ain't a town there no more. There's a couple of trailers and that's about it. Or at least that's what I saw last time I went through there. There might be a town there now. But Cibola, where it was, when I went through there was nothing left. Even the church got flattened. Just the front facade and the steeple standing up. Everything else was just dirt. Dirt and debris. Yeah, might be a better idea. More dirt over the top of you and structural rigidity down there. Also, make sure that your latches are good on the door. You're double latch, triple bolted, you know. That way, a tornado can't actually suck the door open. Because trust me, it'll suck the door right open and suck you right up and out of there. So yeah. Ensure secure. Shouldn't just be one peg latch. You should have like 5 of them bitches on that thing. By the time you've thrown the 5th latch, the tornado should already be gone. A lot of folks think, oh, I'll just run to the root cellar. Well, a lot of folks build root cellars with only one hasp and peg um, latch. And what a hasp and peg latch is that it's that one where you throw the bolt home and then you turn it sideways. That's hasp and peg. You need at least 5 of those. 3 on the one side and 2 on the other. And you should have 3 hinges on your door. And that way it actually holds like a bolted door instead of being falling open and shit. Poor bastards. Yeah, I won't even comment on that. There were some folks that died in the middle of a twister just recently because their door wouldn't latch. Because one of their latches was broken and the other latch wasn't enough to hold it. And that's why I say have 3 on the one side and have 2 on the other. You know, it should be, it's going to take you a couple minutes to get out of your root cellar with a twister passing over and whatnot. You want to throw all those latches, make it so that it's actually difficult to get out. Because here's the rub of it. You don't know whether or not that tornado is going to turn around on your ass and wreak havoc again. Tornadoes have minds of their own. What I would suggest is not having 2 doors if you're going to have less than 5 latching points. If you've got a double door root cellar, like you see in the movies, 5 latches, and hell, 8 latches. All right, you put 2 on top, 1 on the bottom. You just make it so that it cannot be pulled out. It should be so secure that when you stomp on it, you hurt your foot. When you try to go and push it open, you get a bump on your noggin. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be, oh, I could just basically, a couple of good freaking yanks and that thing comes off. And it should never be so that, you could rip it off with a tractor. You should rip the back bumper off a tractor with trying to open up your cellar door. That's how that works. Because that's the amount of suction you got on that thing. You got to think about it like that. You are basically locking everything that's of high value inside your bank vault. Anything less would be unsecured. Okay. So, yeah, and I tell you, there was yeah, braces are a good idea. Um, there was an old lady who'd been here for like 65 years. She was in her 80s. She'd been down in Cibola for like 65 years, living in the same house her and her husband owned. And, her husband died there, and she was figuring, I'm going to live out my days here. Well, Tornado had other plans. It ripped out all the walls and left her sitting in her chair, in her living room chair, in the middle of it all, as the walls came apart around her and roof came off and all that shit happened and all the wind whining and blowing and whatnot. She just sat there. Then when the wind and blowing and all that stopped, she walked around, picked up some clothes, put it in a suitcase, put that in her car, turned on the car, and drove away. And that's all she did. No words to anyone, never said a word one to anyone. We were all there to try and help out and whatnot. She just like did not want to hear nothing from nobody, just turned around and left. I was like, huh, can't really blame her, you know. Live in a place where you think it's safe, and lo and behold, a tornado just come down out the fucking sky and destroyed everything. And the crazy thing is, I was just south of Cibola when that particular tornado hit. Yeah, no, keep them shut. Keep your doors and windows shut because it ain't gonna help none if you leave a window or door open. All that's gonna do is just make what would happen if your windows or doors or shutters blew out happen all the quicker. And that's my point. You can't ever think that, oh well, maybe I can stop the damage if I just let it happen like this. It's not going to happen. You're going to have damage regardless. The best way to lessen the extent to the damage is to make sure that your house doesn't have a static charge. If you've got a short in the wall somewheres, or say you've got a trailer with gypsum in the walls, make sure you have that trailer grounded. Make sure you have the house. Once in a blue moon, you walk around with a degaussing cable, you know, stuff to that effect. That'll keep tornadoes and bad storms away from your house. And degaussing is a method they use in the Navy for making it so that ships don't have a magnetic signature because of, electromagnetics. They use electricity to negate the magnetic signal in a ship. And similarly, when you degauss a house, you basically take the static charge from the house itself, and it's good for another year and a half, 2 years. If you want to protect your house from tornadoes, that's the way to go. Degaussing. Degauss your house. Don't give the tornado something to actually grab a hold onto. And that's what you do when you open the doors or the windows. If you're going to try and protect your windows, build shutters. And not just the ornamental ones. The reason why we had shutters in the first place was to keep tornadoes from sucking our windows open. And beating them all to death and breaking them and having all that explosive force directed against a glass pane. Instead, you could have a wood paneling there that would, negate the force pretty much. Because wood, well, trees are built to handle that kind of stress. They grow to handle that kind of stress. Yeah, degaussing houses is a practice that's not very common. It's going to become more common, in my opinion. But as far as it goes, that's research that we've been doing here in California about, why do tornadoes strike these specific places, and not just repetitively, but in places where we don't normally even think a tornado would strike. But for some reason, it's more than one happenstance, and it happens kind of on a regular basis almost in those places, and we got to wonder why. And it's only since certain uh, housing development has been built in those places that we've been noticing it. And I would speculate that it actually has to do with the houses themselves. All right. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, thank you. Thank you, God, there for keeping Janet safe and her family. Amen. 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 Boy, howdy, I tell you. That's funny. A huge branch from her having to deal with a tornado got stuck in a tree, and it's still there. Ain't falling out. Ain't nothing else happened. Ain't been grown out of the tree or nothing. Ain't killed the tree and had it fall over on you. Just still stuck there. That's interesting. Well, I tried to make it so that y'all could get up in here. I'm not seeing anybody up in the panel though, or up in the queue, as it were. And I still call it a queue, even though the Q-tards have kind of commandeered that word. And yes, I call them Q-tards because Q is a CIA operation. Don't know if y'all know that. Has been ever since it was first hijacked. Alrighty then. Yeah, I wouldn't try and take that branch down. I'd be more worried about the tree falling, of course. But after the tree's already been struck by a branch, it's not going to make a difference whether you take it out or not. That tree, if it's going to die, it's still going to die. Trees are pretty resilient. They could take a beating. So I wouldn't take it down unless the tree dies. But yeah, that would have to be like, you get specialists in their community together and whatnot, and you do that. Because if the tree's a hazard, then the tree's a hazard. Or if it's just old. But yeah, don't go off of what I'm saying. Watch the tree. If it dies, then take it down. If it don't bother it. I like trees. I want them to live. I'm also very scared of what they can do to people. Let's just say that's my recurring nightmare is a tree limb falling on me. And during the day, I have a daydream of basically a tree limb falling on me while I'm walking through somewhere or while I sleep or something. So yeah, recurring daymare. Trees can be mean. So, in case y'all are new here or you just popped in, I am whittling a walking stick. First, I'm getting the handle nice and clean and smooth, and then I'm going to go back over it and maybe do a little bit of a hand carving in it. I'm not sure yet. Oh, yeah, be careful though, because even, even dead trees, especially dead trees, but even living trees can be dangerous when trying to dig them up. You need a bulldozer for that, to be honest. I mean, that or somebody with some really ingenious mathematics and a ratchet strap and some pulleys. I've seen it done with that, but that's, oh, yeah, for the root cellar. My bad. My bad, Janet. I'm sorry. Don't bite my head off, hon. I only have one of them. Well, I have two, but I can't think without one or the other. Got to have both of them to work. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Blaine Price. To boldly go where no man has gone before, and where plenty of men have gone before with equal fervor. Well, you know you make me want to shout. Throw my head back and shout. Throw my hands up and shout. Throw my head up and shout. Come on now. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Okay. Oh, well, you know what? I wouldn't worry about the house falling on you because it wouldn't really matter anyways. I mean, you're underground, pretty much buried anyways. You can always dig out from the side. If you can't go down and you can't go up, go out from the side. Right. I'll just leave that coloration in there. Maybe that'll look good as a natural one. Ooh, nice, pretty red color, along with those blues and grays and greens. Oh, no, okay, that's very interesting. What is this person doing that now they are catching my attention? Well, that'd be the second time they've driven past and tried to park out front in a couple of different places. Never getting out of their vehicle and never going inside. I'm not one to jump to conclusions, but I'm just stating the facts. I don't know the vehicle. I don't know who they are. Not from around here, though. Probably lost, but again, I'm not going to speculate because who knows? Honestly, who knows? I don't know. Yeah, that's almost ready for some sandpaper. That's saw blade. Okay, and that's my top left. Right, after that, just bring out the natural grain. Well, using that end, leave the color in it. All right, that looks fairly nice. Clean up that edge here. Now, there we go. Smooth it. All right. So that thing's about ready to have a meeting with a saw and a sandpaper. Of course, I don't have a saw handy and I don't have any sandpaper handy, so for another time, I'm certain. But as it sits, you could actually walk with this. See, I went from that entire handle portion being that same color as that and that same roughness as that to being nice and clean and smooth. Walking stick. Now, a lot of walking sticks, they have a flat base. I like to cut a point on the bottom of my walking sticks because they tend to grip They tend to grip the ground better with a point on them. Yes, a root cellar would be a good place to hide food in the event of SHTF. That is for certain. Nifty. So now that I've basically carved myself both a hiking staff and a campfire here, I was thinking about that. I don't know. Good question. Native American symbols and Native American drawings, painting, art, and whatnot. Kind of like my pipe. Thinking about something like that. I thought that would be pretty cool. Now, I was telling y'all that I was going to show you my tiki trekker, my other walking stake. You know, once I get this hiking point carved onto here, I'll go and I'll grab that. Oh, come on. It doesn't want to separate. Hang on. I'm working on it. Come on, you pain in the ass. I know I carved a niche all the way around here, so let's just get her to freaking break, please. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, that's how you do it. Sometimes. Ah, that's semi-flat at that point. Because you want a blunt but sharp tip. Help you to get grip on slick surfaces. Yep. Dream catchers are good business. They capture bad dreams and they let good dreams go on. They also catch evil spirits. And they give those bad dreams to those evil spirits. So that they don't have to plague you anymore. I like dream catchers. Almost there. Perfect. Here we go. See? Sharp tip on the one end for putting into the ground and holding your spot. Tall enough to be able to hold you up. Yeah, I love those. They are really cool. The real ones actually work too. They're, it's really cool. I don't know how they work, but they work. Okay. Wow. Boy, whoever taught you to whittle? Okay. Give me 5 seconds while I clean up. Holy crap. That's a lot of chips. I mean, as a for instance, folks, chips. Ah, sorry here. Trying to make things work. There we go. Chips. Lots and lots of chips. Make a campfire with everything I carved off here. Yep. There we go. Alrighty then. Oh, that's what I was going to do. Right. Tiki! 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 Oha, oha. Tiki, tiki. Yeah, I've got a little tiki man here, carved into the front end of this. Let me see if I can get that up there so you guys can see a little Ipolipo tiki man. And as you can see, like all of my walking sticks right here, it's got that blunted yet sharpened tip on it. It's for a reason. That gets down in between rocks and will hold. So yeah, that's my big kahuna staff. And there's the new one. It looks pretty good actually. Needs a saw blade and a piece of sandpaper and it'll look even better than the tiki staff. Who are you? I am Big Kahuna. Big Kahuna's way. Whoa. Okay, if you hadn't noticed, yes, I'm taking some medicine. I need some herbs. So what y'all up to? Or is this thing not working? I could swear it was working yesterday. Yeah, I'm just gonna be clear. When I make staves, they are not cheap. You're not gonna find my staves anywhere in stores. Anywhere. You will not find them. They are one of a kind pieces. There will never be another one quite like it. And I say that because I make every single one of them individually. And it's not because each piece of wood is individually its own self, although that helps. It's actually to do with the fact that when I carve a staff, I won't carve the same carving twice on a staff, or for that matter, carve the same carving twice between stabs. So, yeah, every single one of these is a work of art, unlike a lot of stabs that you buy at the store, your walking stabs and whatnot. This is 100% full on artwork. All of it. I sit there for hours. I get a mental idea of what I want to do. And then I just sit there and I carve 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 until it comes to fruition. I mean, the little tiki guy was inspired by, um, I believe it was inspired by The Rock, actually. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? I can't. The coof done caught me. No, I'm joking, of course. I can smell now. I couldn't smell about like 6 months ago when I had the coof. Yeah, I make no money. I live off the grid, but off of the grid, you know. I live off the grid, off of the grid, and I honestly I don't really need for much myself. I'm I'm not in this fight because you know, yeah, I'll say it that way. I'm not in this fight because it would actually be a boon to me to be on the the Patriot side as winning side. It wouldn't. It actually would not aid me in any way, shape, or form. I'm on Social Security disability. I'm, I'm not really capable of holding a job for longer than 2 weeks per se. It depends on whether I'm working for money or for favors. If I'm working for money, I don't put up with people's bullshit at all. Your money's not worth my time that way. Um, so I really don't get along with having a boss. And I wish that I knew how much I could actually get for these because, the reality of it is that I am a real Native American. I am making real Native American art. This is not, I mean, let me put it this way. And in case you're wondering, does it smoke? Yeah. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. It's like Pandora trying to put the box lid back on. It just never would. Once she'd open the box, it was just destruction wholesale. And that's the only way to close the box again was for her to give up her life. And you know what? Too many people are clinging to life. They're afraid to put Pandora back in the box. Pandora's curse back in the box. And that's what we're dealing with is politicians. Pandora's curse. No self-determination. Pandora didn't have self-determination to be able to say, that would be a bad idea. Yeah, I would like to have a little bit of side money. Here's the thing. Last time I tried to, I nearly went to jail over it because in the state of California, you cannot legally sell wares without a peddler's license. Anybody who has a business knows this. If you're a salesman, you have to have a peddler's license. Doesn't matter what you're selling, you have to have a license to sell. And that means you could be making little wire figurines or, matchstick rockets and selling them to people, and you still have to have a peddler's license. And when I say matchstick rockets, I mean matchsticks rockets. You take a piece of foil, you roll it up, you put the match inside, and you get it really hot. You light another match underneath, and it launches the rocket. Matchstick rockets. You can't even sell those. Yeah, you have to pay for your spot at the flea market, and that pays for your peddler's license. I believe at the flea market it's like $30, whereas a regular peddler's license for a year is like $90. $90 for a peddler's license is too much when one of these staves that I make is probably like 40, $50 worth. And that's only because, I only put so much effort into it. If I put a little bit fucking more effort into it, they'd be $100, $200 staves. And people look at me and say, well, dude, that's outrageous in price. And I go, no, that's Native American artwork. I won't ever sell this. You can't make me sell this. You cannot name a price that I would sell this at because I've signed it with my name, with my Native American name, which means that it's worth more than a mansion. This piece right here is actually something that, according to Native Americans, has a piece of your soul attached to it. That's why we don't sell our signature. I won't ever sign any of my staves because of that reason. Just in case somebody says, hey, well, can I buy that from you? Sure, I'll sell it to you. $60, cash on the barrelhead. Tiki, $60, cash on the barrelhead. Your choice, $150, cash on the barrelhead. I'll carve whatever you want. How's about that? Yeah, sure. I'll sell walking staves. I'll sell any kind of Native American um, artwork that I do, but you'll never get my pipe off of me in a million fucking years. Not only have I smoked off of it, but like I said, has my name burnt into the bottom, my Native American name. It says, "Oh, suene, es latinini stawaji." It's a wene, suene, es latinini stawaji. It says it right on the underside of this. Is burnt into it. I'm not getting rid of that. That's been signed by fire. And when you bind things in this world, it's good to pay attention to it. I signed that with fire. I bonded it with fire, which means that unless I burn this all the way up to ashes, it has to stay with me. It's a part of my soul. It's not just, oh, it's so hard to let it go because I worked really hard on it. It's This has a piece of my soul attached to it. Kind of like Harry Potter fans, you guys would know it as a Horcrux. There's a piece of my soul attached to it, a part of me in this, which means that no, getting rid of it would be, it would rip me apart. Yes, the art, the language, the science. That was a big thing for Cherokee people, was science and chemistry. A lot of folks didn't know that, but there you go. We knew chemistry. We were making our own metals. We knew metallurgy to an extent. The Cherokee people didn't know that you could harden steel by quenching it, but we did for up until white man came. We knew about steel, about iron-based steel. So you could hammer it out into a place and then you let it cool off and it'd be this cool looking rock and whatnot, or whatever shape you wanted. And if you hammered it while it was cold, it would make it hard. So they knew about that. Work hardening. Cherokee people have a very long, colorful history. And yeah, that's a hill I'll die on right there, man. I tell you, by all means, bring it. I love my culture. I love my people. I love my heritage. And if push came to shove and it, really came down to it, that I had to take the arduous walk, well, I'd learn to use a bow again, I tell you that much. But I don't want to have to take the arduous walk. I'd rather die on this hill. Yes, not all Native Americans were the same. I tell I tell stories from the Cherokee and the Kiowa and the Choctaw and the Lakota, because those are the stories I know. So, like story of the white buffalo, I love that story. Actually really fascinated about it because it's a prophecy. There will be a white buffalo that's just born, and in those days, um, a young man will lead the nations to greater good. I love that story. Oh yeah, no, you want to see me pissed? Put your hands on my history. Oh yeah, good, the bad, all of it doesn't matter. We learn from every bit of it. It doesn't matter whether it intrigues you or it appalls you. History is meant to teach us lessons, to make us better. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of rape and there was a lot of murder and there was a lot of, you know, destruction of other tribes and clans when mankind was, first crawled out of the depths and set forth and made the first tools and whatnot. Yeah, I'm sure there was plenty of that then. Nothing's changed. There's still rape and murder and hellishness and stupidity, the good, the bad, the ugly. But at the same time, a lot of people have learned from those histories, from all of that, and strive to not do it again, or not to have it done to them, or not have them do it in the first place, because they can learn from others' mistakes. That's great. You know, yes. It's not always the case. This is why the Native American tribes had the matriarchal tribal structure, which was, like for the Lakota Sioux, you see it in movies like Dances with Wolves, uh, Braves, Wind Talkers, Warriors, and Chiefs and Elders, and you see all the different levels in that one movie. You've got your Braves like what's his name, Kicking Wing. The young man with the really long hair was Kicking Wing. Uh, he was a Brave. And then you had warriors like Wind in his hair. And then you had chiefs like Kicking Bird. So yeah, Kicking Bird was played by, what's his name, John Green. I think that's his name. Um, so you had your chiefs, and then you had your elders, which were like the can't remember his real name, but he played Ten Bears, and the other one that played White Calf, the elders. You've got your different levels of the society, and the reason for that is because everyone gets to teach the next generation what they learned from the previous generation, and it's all oral. It's all these, we have to explain what we've learned, and that's one of the reasons why the Cherokee language was actually one of the first written languages in North America, because Cherokee people were the Cherokee Nation, were the Mississippian culture. They were the largest largest land tribal holdings, of any tribe, any nation. Uh, and I enjoy the fact that I'm Cherokee, and I appreciate it. Kind of sucks because the Cherokee were the most persecuted of any nation. You know, if you really look at it and look at history, the Cherokee people were the most persecuted after their fall from grace. And I call it fall from grace because the Cherokee people were such a powerful nation at the time before having to go and walk upon the Trail of Tears. And I say walk upon the Trail of Tears because there is that wasn't who we are. That was rather just a story of how we came to be. You know? Well, what can you do, Janet? I mean, nobody knows how to. I mean, yeah, sure. It's like taking care of a kid, baby. When you get old, it's the same thing, but all the same, it's not so much who wants to go through that or do that, but it's more like who wants to put their family through that? If I have kids, I don't want them wiping my ass. Are you kidding me? I'd rather do it myself. Thank you. If I can't reach, I'll figure it out. I'll make something where, sponge on a stick or something. I'll figure it out. That's what I mean by, I can't do that to other people. That just ain't right. I can't have somebody else doing that for me. If that's the case going to be, I'm going to strip off all my clothes. I'm going to walk out in the woods. I'm going to let a bear eat me. Pretty much. Because what use, what good am I at that point? At least, now I still have my faculties, I have my knowledge, and I have my physical capability. I could turn around and help somebody if needs be. I could be there in a hot second, and all of that comes from being knowledgeable and capable and willing. So, there again. Well, yes and no. Okay, there were a few traditions that I'd rather do away with. Um, and then there's a couple of traditions that were basically honoring the person for who they were, okay, and who they could be, and who, you know, letting their spirit go on in a proper manner. And that was that as your family member, before your family member gets sick, but they realize that their mind is beginning to slip, you hand them their goods and their weapons, and they would leave the tribe and leave the community and go out in the woods and survive on their own for the rest of their lives. And the tribe would actually have to come and find them to bury them. So, it was a let my body go back to let my soul go back to the earth, let my body go back to the sky, you know. So, as far as it goes, paying your dues is more provide, teach, and survive. That's where paying your dues really comes to play, okay? Provide, teach, survive, and reproduce. I don't have any kids, so I kind of failed there, but the rest of it is something that I do on a regular basis. Survive, teach, and provide. Yeah, um, everybody has a role in the community or tribe. Well, yes and no. The Cherokee people had a way of dealing with folks who didn't want to live along the lines of the tribe, and that was they would be handed their bow and their effects, and they would be pointed to the woods and said, "You're not welcome here anymore. If you come back, we will kill you." And that's how the Choctaw came to be, by the way. Choctaw are Cherokee outlaws. The word Choctawi means felon in Cherokee. Really, it means criminal, but banished one, something like that. Pretty much all that same in one. If you were Choctaw, you couldn't come back. You were not allowed to come back. So yeah, they vanished. Um, yeah, if you don't follow the rules, you don't belong. And yeah, it was worse than jail. Let me put it this way. There's nobody coming to your rescue. There's nobody who's going to perform medicine on you. There's nobody who is going to help you to live through a bad time or unfortunate event. You're done. You're on your own. Literally on your own. There is nobody coming to help you. Nobody wanted to piss off the Cherokee Nation. And the only other people that you could turn to were basically people who were cast out of the tribe for something that was like that. That was something that you got thrown out for, or something just as heinous. A lot of people don't realize that, but that's how Choctaw came to be. Choctawi means felon, cast out of the tribe, castigated. Told you are not worthy to stand amongst us, be gone. Take your things and go. Cherokee don't even acknowledge that anymore. You know what? They don't acknowledge that bit of upbringing, but that's really where that comes from. That's history right there. Otherwise, the Choctaw would be considered part of the Cherokee Nation in modern parlance. The Cherokee Nation is made up of all the different tribes of the Cherokee people. But yeah, Choctaw are supposedly the outcast. So the outcast tribe, I don't know. I guess they became like warriors or something, or war people or something, and then there's a whole story about that. I just can't remember. Well, thank you, Janet. I don't think that's oddball. I think that's unique. Um, I personally love hearing other languages, and I like hearing, people who can speak Cherokee. Wow, that's another one. I love to hear people speak Cherokee because it's just like it's like, wait, you speak Cherokee too? A lot of the old speakers, they don't live anymore. They're not alive. They died on us, and so the language is gone pretty much. I mean, yeah, I know how to speak Cherokee, but that's because my dad basically hammered into my head, boy, you are Cherokee, you better learn this, that, and the other thing. And so I spent time with my grandma, and I spent time with my uncles and my aunts and cousins and whatnot, and we all compiled a list of the words that we knew, and went through it that direction. And then there was also the National Archives, which we used I think it was the translator thing on the Google for translating English into Cherokee and back. Yeah, no, it was actually the fact that I'm part Cherokee and also part Italian and also part Scottish and also probably part Nubian and part Moroccan. I can't really be sure, you know. Oh, and Polish and a fucking all bunch of shorts of shit, different stuff there. Oh, and French Polynesian. Oh, and oh man, no, it just I'm a mutt. And I do not want Cherokee to die. The Cherokee language is a beautiful language. A lot of people don't really know that, and it needs to be spoken more often. Not just names and places and things, but whole sentences need to be spoken more often. Oh, I'll bet you that would, yeah, we're all a mix of everything. But you know what? I bet you that would blow any invading my nation, any invading enemy force's mind coming here to America. Everybody speaking fucking Cherokee. It's like, wait, we don't understand this language. All Americans speak Cherokee, and yet all the freaking we also all speak English and Spanish, and some of us speak Portuguese, some of us speak Russian, some of us speak Italian, some of us speak Spanish. A lot of us speak Spanish. Did I say Spanish? Some of us speak Chinese, some of us speak Japanese, some of us, my point is that we all speak a plethora of languages, but if we all spoke Cherokee at the same time, we could have common conversation with each other and nobody would be able to be the wiser, who is not actually American. And that's just, one of those languages that it was so widespread that there's some influence from Cherokee in every nation in the Americas. And it's also influenced by every nation in the Americas. So, there's different words for, certain things in different languages, but a lot of the languages, they're really close in at least the Native American parlance, except for like Navajo, the Gila, the Cahuilla, and the Anasazi. Those languages are just like, where did that come from? A lot of people want to say Japan. Oh, the Zuni as well, and the Hopi. They want to say that it's from Japan, and I don't know, because you look at the Cherokee language. It sounds as if it's like old world Solutrean, maybe, but at the same time, it's its own language. It's totally its own language, and it's still influenced by so many other languages. Well, what do you know? Dangerous Freedom, live in 30 minutes. I will be certain to send y'all his way, cause woo woo Dangerous Freedom, you know. So, oh yeah, I'm getting too damn old for this shit. I tell you. Wonder what I should do with this. It's got almost the perfect curve for that. I think I'm gonna make a snake on this one. Carve a snake on that line. Will look good. Got the perfect curvature for a snake. Alrighty then. Well, hold your wish for a second. There we go. You know what? I'm not offended by that in one little fucking tick. And they have places that are like that. It's called the Rain Dance Festival and they have the Rain Dance, the Eagle Dance, and the Fire Dance festivals at the different reservations that do that, and you can look for it online. They've got them up there. Type in the name of Native American reservation, find out when their festival is. 'Cause every Native American nation has a festival, and they practice those holidays. And some of them do it as a public thing. A lot of them do it as a public thing, actually. Near Ohio. Yeah, there's the Lakota and the Shenandoah and the Cheyenne and yeah, I think that's it. Oh wait, no, the Appaloosa as well. It's all up in Idaho, but that's where their original lands were. So if you wanted to go and enjoy some of the history of the folks who were native to the area that's local to where you're around, it would be the Cherokee and the Shenandoah would be the two that I would go towards because that's where they went in the summertime. That was their summer home. The winter home was down in Georgia. And what was their other winter home? For the Shenandoah, I think their winter home was in Virginia. And for the here, because yeah, wintering is very difficult up there. Oh well, you might learn about the Crow. I think that's where the Crow are at now. Crow, Blackfoot, Kiowa, pretty much the same uh, Indian tribes, pretty much same region, all truced up. So of course, a lot of them integrated. Um, well, shucks. I don't know much about the many of the nations that are up there. Like I said, you need to do an online search to find out uh, some of the smaller Indian communities, Native American communities. I don't claim to know everything out there about all Native American peoples. I mean, I have a book about them, but I don't claim to know everything about them. I know what I was taught about Cherokee people, and I know what I was taught about my heritage. And what my mom and dad and grandma and great grandma and great grandpa could learn and find. So that's what I know. So yeah, like I said, any Hoosiers, I think it's about time to go and mob old dangerous freedom over there. Everybody ready? Show of raised hands in the chat. Who wants to go and listen in on Dangerous Freedom's Saturday night forum? If you don't have a wavy hand, then just use a thumbs up emoji or the word yep. Well, the info should be free. I mean, we all have to work for it, sure, but that's work in retaining that knowledge. That's not so much work in teaching it. If anything, I should be paying y'all for paying attention to me and allowing me to teach you such niceties and such truths as were taught to me as a child. Thank you for giving me the time. Oh, you don't owe me nothing, but I'd oblige. Why, thank you. I try to be, humble and kind. It's a good philosophy. Be humble and kind. But boy, I tell you, I could be a rage monster. You all don't even know. Like, if you've seen some of my rant videos, you'd be like, holy shit, man, no wonder you got recommended Dangerous Freedoms channel. Some of my old rants are just barracks room humor. I see. I ain't mad at you. I got an old computer. Yeah, but my rants have actually gotten the freaking highway patrol and the U.S. Marshal Service knocking on my door going, sir, are you actually considering on going through with your threats, or is this just a show? And I said, no, it's just a show. It's basically what I would look like if I was a drill sergeant and telling people about how bad their customer service and their shoddy work was. Basically, how my daddy would have treated me if I had slipped up that bad. That's exactly how he would have treated me. He'd have fucking just either looked at me and gone, "Come here." You don't show your face, you're FBI. Honestly, did you know that Miguel is A sheriff? I didn't know either. Interesting. These things that funniest thing is I've been called a bot in so many different chats, and I turn around and I'm just like, okay, beyond the fact that I'm eloquent as frig when I'm typing, because I don't like to type anything that doesn't have meaning. Um, what part of the fact that I am answering you directly makes you think that I'm a bot? Explain it to me. I mean, I'm really eloquent when I write, but that's just because, I was pestered all through my childhood. Boy, spell it out. Write it right. Bam, here I am. Yep, that's not bad. I like that. I'm gonna leave that as your that's your walk on, your entrance. That's not mine. Mine is hide ho folks. Yeah, I suck at typing. It takes me forever to type, specifically because, you know, um and this is just not no, not gonna happen. I have to sit there and two finger Freddy it. I'm not good at typing. Um, don't get me wrong, I use a QWERTY keyboard all the time, but I have to be looking at it. That's what for other people they don't have to look at it. They can just sit there and type because it's just natural to them. It's like second nature. It's in their mind to do it. It's in their brain. It's in their muscles and all that. Me, two finger Freddy. You know what, Janet? I was gonna say something. I'm not gonna. That'd just be immature. Never mind. I'll just say it. As long as they're in the baskets, I'm pretty sure nobody's going to be too butthurt about it. We all laugh at fart noises. I mean, the other night over there on DZD, when you were there, you heard what's his fuckers come up on there and make just nothing but a fart noise. I laughed. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I laughed. Whether my My microphone was on or off. I don't remember. I laughed. I do remember that. I was just like, what the fuck? Dude just literally pops up, and first thing that he does, everybody's silent so that he can do so, say his part, and all you hear is, and I'm just like, what the fuck? No, just no. I laughed too hard at that, but it was funny. So I think it'll be interesting. The king and queen of immature. Oh, no, 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 no. You have no idea, Janet. Me and my brother used to play games like that where we'd hold each other's head down and fart through a pillow. Yeah, you want to talk about immature? Thank you, thank you. I'll be here all week. Hi, Sita. Remember, dangerous freedom after dark in about uh well, now it'd probably be 10 minutes. We're gonna all go over there and mob him. Give him a warm welcome. I love Dangerous. That guy, dude, he took the worst of my shit and still came back, as a friend. Yeah, no, no, that's why I was just that I tried to change that's why I tried to change the subject, Janet. Trying to be courteous. I'm funny too, but looks aren't everything. Twerking is awesome. I'm not twerking. I'm sitting on my front porch or on the front porch. I'm not twerking. Thank you. Not happening. There are children around me. Well, at least within eyeshot. So if I've got smoke inside of me, Sita, what does that necessarily mean? Yeah, I guess I'm just a big ol' airhead, huh? Woof. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That's some stinky. Yeah, I wouldn't ask you to bail me out anyways, because if I'm that dumb, I deserve it. Woo! Christmas trees. Oh, thank you, Sita. I love you too. And I ain't just saying that. I really do. I love everybody. And I know that's kind of a stretch for people to believe, but honestly, if you get over your personal bias for a second and actually get to the center of things, you'll find out one, I don't do astrology, but astrologically speaking, I am a Cancer on the cusp of Leo, which means I am a very strong-willed, independent individual who is extremely defensive at first, but very trusting once you've earned my trust. And also willing to go the extra mile to keep that friendship. I mean, I fuck up. I do. Everybody does. Can I say though? I'm fucked up. So what if I'm if I'm fucking up a little bit? At least I'm not fucking up a lot. Oh, none of us are perfect, Sita. Matter of fact, you could call me a dirty young man if you wanted. I'd be like, tell us something we don't know. Ain't none of us perfect. Not a single one. Well, Christ is, but you know what? I had to go through a similar thing. It literally took people showing me that, I was a good person and someone to be considered to be worth keeping around. That made me see that I wanted to be around. So it's going to take Pete just a little bit of a walk back, you know. He's going through a lot right now, and it's probably best if he doesn't live stream. So on that respect, I'm like, you know what, dude, I ain't mad at you. You do your thing, you know, whatever it may be. I ain't mad at you. Hell, I meet a threat head on. Other than that, I hold no grudges and I hate no man. So, you know, if that was just somebody getting angry and just letting it loose and not holding a grudge, you know, being willing to let that grudge go, I'm all for it. I'm with that. But if that's not the case, then I'm sorry, brother. I love you, but I will meet you head on. I'm a scary motherfucker in that regard, and I'd rather not be. So please don't make me that man. Okay, everybody, time to mob him. You are dismissed. All right, everybody, we're going over to Dangerous Freedom's channel, and we're gonna go mob him. Y'all have a good one. This is the end of the old stream. Taters, have a good night, and I'll see you in a little bit.